Welcome to the Demystifying Social Security Academy for Interns today. We're really glad you could be here. My name's Adam Jutha, and I'm the Nathan J. Stark intern for nonprofit development at the National Academy of Social Insurance. And on behalf of NASI, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to today's conference, Demystifying Social Security Academy for Interns 2011. This year, NASI celebrates 25 years of continued work to deepen and broaden understanding of social insurance, its importance for social security, economic security, and building a more vibrant economy. NASI was founded by Robert M. Ball, who championed social security efforts for many decades and served as Commissioner of Social Security under 3 presidents, Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon. Bob Ball was a visionary and a thought leader in the field of social insurance, and since NASI was founded, we've continued to reach milestones and make progress thanks to the efforts of countless leaders, many of whom you'll see here today and meet with later. Since that time, social insurance has been fortunate to have countless leaders who have carried forward Bob Ball's legacy and strengthened social insurance programs for the betterment of millions of Americans. But these experts can only continue to champion the cause for so long. And that's where we come into play as a younger generation. As millennials in the district and across the country, we are uniquely poised to engage in the key policy issues and discussions to ensure that the Social Security program remains solvent and able to provide adequate benefits for decades to come. Critical to ensuring NASI is able to develop future leaders of social insurance, whether we may be scholars, advocates, policymakers, or just voters, we all have some role to play in this equation. And we need to begin to fall into our roles, but in order to do so, we need to ensure that we are informed in a nonpartisan fashion about the programs that are so important to all of us. Social Security is one of those programs, and we need our generation's voice. We need our generation's expertise, our drive, our vision to really make sure that Social Security is a viable program when looking ahead. We have with us today individuals from a very diverse background. We have over 130 registered at last count, and looking at the size of this room, it's pretty full. We've got undergrads, we've got grad students, professional students, young professionals, business professionals, and many, many more. We've got policy experts, we've got thought leaders, we've got former NASI members, current NASI members, and our NASI team, of course. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank a very few individuals and groups that have made today's event possible. We have the NASI staff who have worked tirelessly. If you can all introduce yourselves, I'm sure they're scattered around the room at the back. Thank you very much for all your help in making this event possible. And I'd especially like to thank Derek Joyner, NASI's project associate, just in the back corner over there, whose organization and vision I've learned a great deal from over the past few weeks organizing this conference. And none of us would be in this room if it wasn't for Derek. So thank you, Derek. Through the course of the day, you'll have numerous questions, and I encourage you to ask them all. Be curious, be excited, be inquisitive. Question with an intent to learn, an intent to challenge, so that you really do understand the issues moving forward. And just a quick digression here. 2 days ago, I was at a Roosevelt panel, and Hilary's the director of Roosevelt, so she'll talk a bit more about that. But we had a discussion about Social Security, and one of the things that the presenter asked us, he was from the National Committee on Preserving Social Security and Medicare, was, what do you think the future of Social Security will be for your generation? And the Roosevelt Institute's a group of young minds. It's policy thinkers in the millennial generation. And many of the students pretty much said, well, it won't be there. It's just not going to be there for us. We've got no Social Security. Like, Americans are paying into the program, but when we grow up, we just won't have it. And there's so many different ways to look at this issue. There's so many different ways to look at the future of Social Security, whether it's adequacy, whether it's solvency, whatever it may be. And I encourage you to really look into those issues today, look at those ideas, and really find a way to understand the issues so that moving forward, we can make those changes as necessary. We can make the changes that we believe will make this program stronger in the years to come. And so our hope is, by the end of the day, that you'll walk away with more information. You'll be more informed about the issues facing Social Security than when you came in. And I hope each of you will leave feeling empowered and understanding the status and future of Social Security, its generational design, the relevance of the program to your life and to that of your families, and with the ability to make the decisions that will shape Social Security policy in the future. Today, you have an opportunity to meet and talk with our knowledgeable speakers and some of NASI's over 900 members who have volunteered their time to be with us today as table experts, speakers, and we'll meet them through the course of the day. In addition, you'll be working with NASI's summer interns during the interactive activity session, and they'll also be our moderators. If the interns could just raise their hands from NASI. These are 21 individuals who have been selected for the internship program, and they represent 4 internship groups: the Washington Internship on Social Insurance, the Summers Aging and Long-Term Care Research Internship, the Eileen Sweeney Graduate Internship in Disability Policy, and the Nathan J. Stark Internship for Nonprofit Development. They've been here since the beginning of the summer and are spending their time working at organizations all across the city, learning about various aspects of social insurance policy. And this year's event, which has been held since 2005, has been a true team effort. And I'd also like to thank the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation for their support of NASI's work, including but not limited to this academy here today. I'd also like to thank DC United, Washington Nationals, and Mandu Restaurant, who have generously given us some door prizes, which a few of you will be lucky enough to win at the end of the day. And so at the end of the day, if you do stick around, Marianne will be announcing a few select interns or attendees from today's event. We'll get some free door prizes. Can't go wrong with some free tickets. And a few things to note. In your folders, you'll see a blue evaluation form that asks a few simple questions about the speakers and the sessions. If you could please fill that out by the end of the day and have that back in. For those that do submit it, you will get a free T-shirt and a flash disk, or flash drive. So you can't go wrong, right? A free T-shirt. And we'd love to hear your impressions about the Academy as well as the rest of the day and what you have learned from today and what you think we should improve for future years. In addition, you'll see a bunch of different folder items in your folder. There's the PowerPoint slides. We've also got our Fixing Social Security Adequate Benefits and Adequate Financing report, which we'll be using during the interactive session. And your NASI moderators or interns will have a bit more information on that. As you can see from the cameras at the back, today's session is being recorded, and it'll be posted online to enable us to share this experience with many others across the country. And on a bit of a logistical note, many of us are Twitter savvy, and we have set up a hashtag Academy11, which I encourage you all to use through the day, ask questions, engage in discussions. We have the NASI staff that will be tweeting. We have other experts that will be tweeting, as well as organizations and groups that are interested in social security issues. So that's enough from me. I'll move on to introducing Hilary Doe. Hilary is the director of the Roosevelt Institute Campus Network. She's been working with the Institute for several years now, and her work focuses extensively on policy. She was a graduate of the University of Michigan, and she's been a dedicated member. You'll see her, with blogs, and you'll see her on news reports and everything, but she's been on Fox News. She was booed by several individuals on there promoting the millennial budget that was recently presented on a national scale. But when you really do work with Hilary, and I have the great privilege of working with her through the Roosevelt Institute, we see a really diverse group of students. And Hilary, I'm sure, will talk a bit more about the work of the Roosevelt Institute and what our mission is moving forward to promote a certain agenda for millennials. But working with Hilary really shows the drive of millennials and the drive of the millennial generation to make progressive change, to make changes to certain issues based on values. And I won't go much into her bio or anything, but I'll turn things over to her because I'm getting a sign from Will that my time's up. So, Hilary Doe.
Thanks, guys. Why don't we all give Adam a round of applause for waking us up this morning? Thank you, Adam. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Come on. Now, I thought I would get something better from you guys. If this was tomorrow and we were all at the Harry Potter premiere tonight till 2 a.m., then I would assume that kind of reaction. So let's try one more time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to talk to you guys. I'm so excited to be here. Oh, should I use this? Oh, people can't hear me. I'm so excited to be here. So as all of us got out of bed at 9 a.m. to come to this conference, we all clearly care a lot about Social Security, so I won't try and sell you on it too much. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about the experience that I've had over the last year and about our role in Social Security and frankly, what I've learned over the last year as a young person about the importance of being invested in this issue. So as Adam said, I'm the National Director of the Roosevelt Campus Network. We're the largest student policy organization in the country. We have about 10,000 members nationwide at over 100 campuses who get together, identify challenges locally from homelessness to education access to environmental challenges, and then write student policy solutions to solve them. So they still knock doors and register voters, but not just for other people's campaigns, for their own ideas, and we see them implement those nationwide. I was a part of the Roosevelt Institute as a student. I started the chapter at the University of Michigan, and they haven't quite been able to get rid of me since then. But it's a really empowering process. A lot of our work's local, a lot of it's at the state level. We don't always do national issues, except in the case when our students really want to, as a group, across the country, come together and make a real impact on something of real importance. And we did that around Social Security. Why? Social Security isn't the thing that we think of as being at the tip of a 19-year-old's tongue necessarily. But we did it because last year, early in the year, a lot of us probably heard the narrative around the President's Deficit Commission. And what we were hearing from a lot of folks who wanted to cut Social Security was, we're doing this for our grandchildren. We're making these cuts because otherwise we'll be stealing from future generations. When they said that, they meant us. We're all millennials in this room, born between 1980 and 2000. Some of us at a different range of that scale than you guys, unfortunately. So we're all part of that group. And they were referencing us without ever asking us directly, do you want to make these cuts to Social Security? You are acting on our behalf, as you say, but you've never engaged us or asked us directly what we want America to look like, if we want to accept the sweeping changes that you're suggesting with the cuts. And our network got upset about it. They wanted to have a voice in that process and recognized, as they should, that we're the ones that are going to be inheriting the consequences of that, right? So when people talk about making cuts, they aren't talking about cutting things for those getting Social Security right now, but making cuts for us, just in time for us to inherit them and for our children to inherit a fundamentally different America. So we wanted to insert our vision into the process and our voice into the process, and designed a program to do it. I'll come back to that a little bit later, but in addition to this narrative, there was also a campaign going on, there still is. You guys have probably been exposed to it across the country on campuses nationwide, where some of these folks are trying to convince us that Social Security won't be there for us. Like Adam said, a lot of the people who are new to Roosevelt and are coming in, getting exposed to us for the first time, think that. Probably a lot of you guys have thought that, right? You've heard that story. And those folks don't give us a ton of details. They don't talk to us a lot about why it won't. They just say, it's running out of money, so why would you keep paying into it, right? And then that's the end of it. And so I started thinking, why are these folks targeting us, this generation of young people on campuses across the country? We don't have a lot of money yet. We don't have necessarily a lot of influence yet. Why are they targeting us in the national scale, talking about our grandchildren? Why are they targeting us on campuses across the country? And there are a few obvious answers to that I hope you'll keep in mind with you throughout the day, and that I hope you'll work to prove them wrong, frankly. One, they did this, and this is true, because we are so powerful. We don't necessarily recognize it every day, but we're the largest generation in American history. Everyone's talking about the boomers, but this generation, born between 1980 and 2000, is the largest generation to ever grow up in this country. And that means we're powerful. There's strength in numbers. We're powerful with our voices and our vote and our influence. So that's one reason they're targeting us. Another reason is because we aren't yet getting it, right? If we every week got this check from Social Security that was great and we benefited from, maybe we wouldn't be a great audience, but we aren't yet getting it. So they thought maybe we'd be a good target. But I think they must have forgotten that we all have grandparents. We all have parents who are benefiting from the program. We see them buying things with the check. We see the security in their lives. So from what I've learned in the last year, that's not actually a great reason. Another reason that they probably targeted us is because they think we don't remember what life was like before Social Security. You'll hear more about that later today. But they're true. It's true. We weren't alive before Social Security, right? We weren't around. We don't remember necessarily in a personal way those poor houses that a huge majorities of folks who were older were impoverished, right? And some of those people who didn't have family to care for them ended up going to live in what we would consider to be deplorable conditions in poor houses. And Social Security changed everything, changed the face of America in a lot of ways because it was instituted and folks were able to live long lives without those impoverished conditions. So maybe it's true that we don't remember that, but they must have forgotten that we're also the most hyper-informed generation in American history. We receive more news and more media than any other generation before us. We're smart, we're civically engaged, and even if we didn't know already, we're also socially empathetic, so when we find out, we care that was the case and that this program has been responsible for changing it. So they might have forgotten that as well. And then the fourth reason I think they probably targeted us, and I learned this over the last year, is because I think they might have known that if we started investing in Social Security, if we started learning about it, since it might not have been at the tip of our tongue, we would become the greatest advocates the program has ever seen. I think that they probably knew that too, because of who we are, because of our values, and because, most importantly, of what we're up against over the next 40 years. I think they knew that we would be sort of the unstoppable force behind Social Security to ensure that it's stronger and growing. And the reason that I say all of this is because, like I said, it's been my experience over the last year. We had students come out of the woodwork and say they wanted to work on this program. And so we designed an initiative called Think 2040 to engage them, and have since talked to about 6,000 young people in person and online, asking them to define their vision for America. That was the question. We didn't ask about Social Security specifically, though we teased that out over time. We asked them to think about what they wanted our education system to look like, our environment, our healthcare system, because we needed a plan, right, in order to actually achieve it by the time that 2040 rolled around. That was what the date was from. And what became apparent quickly is that a strong, flexible social safety net was at the core of our vision for the future. And at the core of that was the Social Security program. That became apparent immediately upon doing this work. And the reason that, it came out that way, I think, is because, if we think about it a little bit together, we, as a generation, are not a boom generation, right? We grew up through 2 recessions. Some of us remember the first one better than others. Again, gosh, I keep realizing how old I am looking at this room. Just a side note, you guys are so attractive, this audience. It's true. Often, a lot of us end up speaking to an audience that isn't quite as young and fresh and dewy as you guys all are, but you're all very beautiful. But really, think about it, right? So we grew up through 2 recessions, Hurricane Katrina, September 11th. We recognized that bad things can happen to good people, and we saw our communities come together across the country and take care of each other. We're also the most optimistic generation in a long time, and I think it's because we saw people lean on each other and successfully get through some of the toughest times that we could have imagined for this country. We're socially empathetic, and we grew up in this technological age, right, where we could all communicate with each other quickly, where we recognize the power of innovation and entrepreneurialism to overcome challenges. So when people sort of throw out, Social Security in the next 75 years needs some edits in order for it to, remain solvent and strong and whatever, that's just a rallying cry for us, right? That isn't demobilizing. Our generation loves challenges. We're better at coming up with solutions than we are at anything else, basically. Right? So Social Security embodies a lot of our values. It proves that you can do the best for the most, right? That you can embody this social empathy that believes all of us, no matter what age we are, should be able to live a good life, should be taken care of. And if we're older and have contributed to this country and made it what it is, when we're, in our later years, we should have the opportunity to continue living strong, solvent, dignified existence, right? And also the most vulnerable among us, those of us who lose our parents, those of us who are injured, should be able to be taken care of, to be contributing members in the society. Because if they aren't, then none of us are doing very well. And our generation believes that. The other reason is because of what we're up against. Be it as it may, our generation will inherit challenges that no generation before us has. Our education system is in a place where, it's slipping, it's falling behind other education systems. We're facing climate change. We're facing a debt that other people haven't faced and some are nervous about. And I believe that after the last year, we're capable of tackling those things because of our generation's characteristics, but precisely because of what we're up against is a reason we will support this program. Think of even college tuition. That seems unrelated to Social Security, right? But as it keeps rising through the roof, those folks who are receiving survivor's benefits, those young people who a lot of us will know if you start asking around, didn't have to work a second job in high school that would have precluded them from studying for their tests, from spending the 15 to 20 hours a week we all know it takes to apply for scholarship funding to get to college, right? They were able to have a strong, healthy household and go to school because of survivor's benefits in high school. It's related. It's what we're up against. And because when Social Security was formed, there were three parts of the stool for retirement, right? We were expected to both have Social Security, our personal savings, and pensions in order to have a strong retirement. That's not the case for us at all. We're graduating college with more debt than anybody else. 20% of us have $10,000 in debt that isn't even student loan debt on top of our student loan debt. And as the costs keep rising, we recognize that personal savings aren't as easy to come by as they might have been previously, right? So that's one knock off the stool. So we need Social Security more. And pensions, we wish, right? But we aren't getting pensions. We aren't being unionized at the same rate. I'm not saying that you can't turn that around. You can. That's another conference. We can talk about that later. But we just aren't getting them. So Social Security is even more important than ever, right? And so I think that people recognized when they were targeting us that, unless they jumped and tried to change the narrative, unless they tried to convince us without a lot of details that Social Security wouldn't be there, we would become its greatest advocates and there would be no going back. And over the last year, I've learned that we are. That because of who we are and what we're up against, we care about this program, and much to their dismay of the folks who wanted to convince us otherwise, because we're entrepreneurial and innovative, those young people we've engaged, those thousands across the country, not only want to stand up for Social Security, but expand it, expand the social safety net, extend the student benefits so that person I was talking about who got survivor benefits before going to college gets benefits through college when they really need them. So that we can do other things to the social safety net, universal pre-K, worker retraining programs, things that allow us to pull ourselves out of our bootstraps, right, and keep contributing despite the conditions. So I think that they didn't know us very well when they were targeting us. They should have sort of run their theory by some young people, because it would be quickly become obvious that we had every reason in the world to support and expand this program. Before I leave, I will note that they were right about one thing, and you should keep this in mind today too, please, if nothing else. They were right about the fact that we are really powerful. And unfortunately, too many of us don't recognize it. I don't think I recognized it when I was in college, really, how powerful we are. But from my viewpoint now, when I see those Roosevelt members across the country who are doing amazing things, who are designing honestly, a couple months ago, our Yale chapter, I don't know if there's anyone here from Yale, helped design the New Haven Promise. Have you guys heard of this? Now, any student that goes through kindergarten to 12th grade in New Haven public schools gets a full ride to any Connecticut State University because of the work that Roosevelt students did in collaboration with the New Haven City Council. Can you believe that? That was a bunch of 19-year-olds. How powerful are they? Now, any New Haven public school graduate gets to go to college, a free ride. You're capable of doing incredible things, and on this issue, as the largest generation in American history, nobody can say Social Security won't be there for you. It's a government program. A government is of the people. You're the people. You're a huge percentage of the people. And so as long as you want it, it will be there. And as long as you use your vote and your voice to stand up for Social Security, it will be there. And if you want it expanded, you can expand it. And because of all the work we've done on budgeting in the last year, you can't let anyone tell you that we can't pay for it, because I promise you, it's about priorities, right? You can figure it out. So if you want it and you're willing to make it happen, it can be done. So anyway, please remember that throughout the day. If you want to know anything more about Roosevelt, about Think 2040, about the budget, let me know. But please spend time with folks from NASI today. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I've had an incredible experience working with you guys over the last couple of years. And have an amazing day learning about Social Security. Thanks so much.